I'm Xian. I'm at Rise Climbing today. I've just set the technique circuit and I'm going to coach you through the techniques that I've set for you. In this video, we're going to talk about using high foots and specifically how to stand up through them. In the previous video, we looked at standing up tall with a level base where both feet are more or less in the same place, same level. And that's a lot easier because even on the ground, we can see 2 feet level, it's pretty balanced, it's steady. Once you take 1 foot up, especially if it's really high, it tips you over and it's quite hard to stay in balance. However, if we can overcome this, it can also become a gain because if we can push up and stand up tall through that higher foot, we are going to be able to gain so much more height. So I've set a few climbs here to take you through the technique and for you to practice how to do it. All right, let's start with an explanation of how it works. So we have the white here, and you can see I had put on only 1 foothold. So this creates a high foot moment for us. Okay, without climbing first, let's just look at it. So when we put a foot out, this is what naturally happens. My toes want to point upwards, and my hips want to fall downwards, and I want to invert. This is the natural state. So we need to correct and go upright so we can push up. All right, so the first step is to take that foot and turn it this way, claw it in. So once I do that, you can see the weight has now come onto the front of my foot, which is already lifting my hips up and making me more upright. It's quite uncomfortable to be in this position. So usually, after we do the foot clawing, we try to lift the left foot, the lower foot, so that we can adopt a more comfortable position. All right, so for example, this. By bringing that left foot up, I'm now much more comfortable and my hips are above my foot. From here, if I want to, I can bring it even higher. And now, I'm almost back to my tripod position. And from here, we can push to stand up. Okay, so here we've got a situation where I've got high foot, but it's almost directly below my handhold. So to overcome this, what we can do is turn the body a little bit. Like this. So what this gives me is stability because I lean behind the handhold and I can sort of form something similar to a tripod whilst using the foot that's directly in line, more or less. Okay, so what we want to do from here is the same thing, which is to push down on the higher foothold, maybe lift the lower leg so it's in a more comfortable position, and stand up straight again. Okay, so now let's look at some common mistakes that people make when using high foots and why they are a problem. So we're going to use this purple route here to explain this. This is another route I set to help you practice your high foot stand-ups. The first common mistake people make is that they rock over into a sit-in and get really deeply folded, and that makes it really hard to stand up from. Right, for example, if I rock over all the way to the right first and come here, and now I try to stand up. I wasn't even pretending, it's just really hard. Because again, you're coming from a deep fold, you're in end range in 2 directions. Your knee is fully in end range and you're fully in externally rotated on your hip. So we don't want to do that. We want to rock over into a half squat, and then from there you stand up. It's so much easier. Into a half squat, and then you stand up from there. It's way easier. I paused in the middle just to make a point, but actually if you do it all in one fluid motion, it's even easier. Another common mistake that people make is that they pull themselves up with their arms to lift the hips rather than pushing on the feet to lift the hips. Okay. So when we're here, you can see the hip is low, which is why it's hard to stand up. So it's a very rational response to pull up with the arms, to lift the hip, and try to stand up from there. Okay, as you can see, the problem with that is that if you pull yourself out of your arms to lift the hips, all the weight gets centered on the arm, and it actually makes it really difficult to transfer tension back onto the leg. So it seems like a good idea, but it's actually a false trail. What we want to do instead, we still want to lift the hip above the foot, but we do that by pushing down really intentionally with the high foot. So when I'm here, I'm going to push down to lift the foot. The right leg will naturally come up because it doesn't want to stay there anymore. And then you stand up from there. Okay, so we're here at the final climb in the high foot series, and that is the fluorescent green. This one is definitely harder than the two previously, so I'm going to give you a few extra tips. All right, one, always get stable in your launch position before you move towards the next hold. When you do move, move decisively in one fluid motion. The success of a lot of climbing actually comes from what happens before. So we want to prepare for success by finding the best launch position that we can. Okay, so say we're here now. I want to go to that next hold, but I'm not in a good launch position. So I'm going to do all the things we talked about. Press the foot down, let the leg come up, feel the weight come through on the left foot. Now I'm stable, and I'm going to go in one fluid motion. Right, the same as here. I'm stable, and I launch. Stable, launch. Stable. All right, same thing, stable, and you move in one. And this way, your movement is very clean and efficient. Okay, so let's recap all the top tips for standing up through the high feet. So one, claw in with your foot on the high foot, lift the hips, and allow the lower leg to come up. Things not to do, do not sit in all the way before standing up, and do not pull yourself up to lift the hips. Things to do is push down with the feet to lift the hips, and stand out in one fluid motion. And a bonus tip is get stable in your launch position before going. Thanks for watching. If you haven't tried these blocks, get yourself down here and try them right now, and let us know how you get on. We'd love to watch your videos or hear what you have to say. So the blocks are going to be up till 13th of July, so plenty of time to come here and master the skills we talked about. Get here. And if you enjoyed the tips, you found them useful, check out my book, Smooth. It's all about climbing technique, and well, that's why it says on the cover, help you to climb smooth.